Welcome to Is Austin, Texas Living Everything People Say That It Is? And I want to address, does it really live up to the hype? Well, I've got a list of 10 things that I'm going to share with you that are things I think people ought to know that you might not learn. You might not hear about these things. So I'll start with number one. Number one is people are really that friendly in Austin. I think this is a combination of the low-key vibe here in Austin and also the background of just enough Southern hospitality and charm. It becomes a super warm and friendly town. It feels like a big town rather than a big city, and I think that's awesome. The thing that I think people need to know but don't necessarily hear about life in Austin, Texas living means it's hot, like hot, really hot. Yeah, like very hot, like 100 degrees every day for 30 or 40 days in a row hot. So July through September are typically really warm, over 100 degrees. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that Austin has lots of parks, and many of the parks have pools in the neighborhoods. You've got pools through the parks, pools through communities. You've also got springs. There's Deep Eddy right downtown. You have Barton Springs right in Zilker Park, very cold. You have Krause Springs, only a short drive away from here. Hamilton Pool, another short drive away from here. And all of those will give you lots of water refuge to help keep your fever down during those super hot days. There's also Lake Travis Waterloo Adventures, and that is a bunch of it's basically an inflatable island with lots of fun things for kids to do out at Lake Travis. So there's all kinds of ways to beat the heat, but you do need to know that the heat is bad. It is really hot. The third thing that people don't tell you about moving to Austin and what it's like to live in this great city is tacos are almost a religion. They are a major obsession in this city. We're even becoming world famous. The New York Times recently wrote about Veracruz All Natural, the two sisters whose famous taqueria started as a food truck, like so many restaurants in Austin do, and then became so popular they now have restaurants. It's very, very good. They've got all kinds of sauces and salsas and amazing flavors going on. There's one taco that's been featured with Guy Fieri. There's famous Torchy's Taco. There's Taco Deli. All kinds of tacos all over the place. There's even one called Velvet Taco, and this place is in the Domain, and it blends comfort food with tacos. And by that what I mean, an example would be fried chicken and waffles in a taco. And you might be thinking, what? It's a Texas thing, y'all, so it's just a thing. The third thing on the list of things people don't tell you about Austin, Texas living is that dancing the two-step is almost required in this town. It can be really fun to dance the two-step. And in fact, there are places that you should absolutely try and not miss. And you can even have dancing lessons. You can take two-step lessons at several of the different honky-tonks in place. The Broken Spoke has been there forever and is still in the same place on South Lamar, has an old world honky-tonk dance hall feeling. As long as you like Lone Star beer, they have beer. But it's a place you don't want to miss, and it's now tucked amongst hip new condos. It looks a little bit like the house in Up, surrounded by Progress. But there it is, it's still there with the creaky wooden floors, and you shouldn't miss it. Second place I recommend is the White Horse. That's on the east side, honky tonk. Again, I know somebody who teaches dance classes there on Thursdays, and it is a load of fun. And the dancing the two-step is so easy that even if you or your partner have two left feet, you can still figure out. It's basically shuffling. So it's really fun, and you should totally do it at least once in your lifetime. There's also Don's Depot and several other places. This next item that's on my list of 10 things that people don't typically tell you about Austin, Texas living is that housing prices have gone up, and it's not as cheap as it used to be. It's gotten kind of pricey. With all the people discovering how great it is to live in Austin and so many other places in the country, we also have had a housing boom. We've had people moving here so fast, discovering the great lifestyle, that the demand for housing has gone up. The supply has not met the increase in demand, and so we do have higher prices, and oftentimes there are multiple bids on homes. So not quite the great, amazing deal that it might have been a few years ago. Still a great place to live. There are ways to make sure that you do get the house that you want. There are ways to make sure that you are prepared and in the best possible position to win the house that you're bidding on. And the best thing I can recommend for you to do is leverage the help of a licensed realtor and find one like me and several others in this town who can help make sure that we set you up to have the best shot at winning the house that you want and get you moved in and started living your Austin, Texas dream. Number 6 on my list of things people don't really tell you about Austin, Texas living is that there's way more to Austin than barbecue and honky tonk. And football. There's way more to Austin than meets the eye. In fact, we have the longest running theater company in Texas right here, the Zach Scott Theater, and they put on multiple performances every year that win awards. And we have the Bass Concert Hall, which has Broadway across America and brings lots of different productions. Lion King's currently playing, so we get really good shows here as well. Something you may not know is that Austin, Texas has one of the 20 in the world remaining Gutenberg Bibles right here at the UT Ransom Center. There were originally 180 printed way back in 1455, and they are then hand painted and hand decorated afterwards. It is huge and beautiful, and you can see it on display right here at the University of Texas Ransom Center. We also have a garden that is a sculpture garden. So Umlauf Sculpture Garden is just a gem. It's right in the city. Has these beautiful gardens with different sculptures done by Charles Umlauf that he left to the city back in the 50s, I believe. And they have events there. There's a museum there. It's really lovely, and it's a really great spot to go. Kind of a oasis within the city. So we have that, as well as loads of art galleries and art museums. The Blanton Museum is an art museum associated with UT. It has over 21,000 original works in that museum and hosts different guest artists across the year. Austin also has the Mexi Art Museum dedicated to Latin American art. There's a growing Black art scene. There's a growing LGBTQ plus art scene. There's festivals. Outsider Fest is one of the ones that happens every year that we're not in a pandemic. And we have a growing number of art galleries on the east side, as well as dotted throughout the city. Women in Their Work is another gallery that has been here and is focused mostly on women's art. So there's a lot more to the art and cultural scene than originally meets the eye, and you don't often hear that. Speaking of culture, this brings me to my next item on the list of things that people don't tell you about Austin, Texas living, and that is what's up with Keep Austin Weird. First of all, there is the Museum of the Weird, that is on 6th Street downtown. We have Eeyore's birthday party. That is a festival celebrating Eeyore's birthday party. I don't have words to describe that festival. You just have to experience it. I don't know if other towns have chicken shit bingo, but we do. At Jenny's Lone Star Bar, they do chicken shit bingo on Sunday nights. So that's pretty weird. Little Woodrow's has turtle races. And I think that's pretty weird. It's probably funny as well. So those are just a sample of some of the funky things that you'll find going on here. If your retail therapy skews towards the weird, the funky, the unusual, we got you. So on SoCo, South Congress Avenue, there's a store that's been there a pretty long time called Uncommon Objects. It's been described as your crazy uncle's attic on steroids, and the things are actually for sale there. You should just go look, just check it out. It's pretty crazy. And while you're down there, you may as well check out Lucy in Disguise, which is a massive costume rental place. And you might think, how is that a business year round? Well, you'd be surprised. You just should go in there. It's packed to the brim with all kinds of costumes. You go in, I can give you one example. Me and some coworkers decided we were going to be the village people for a work party. And I went in and said, we need 4 village people outfits. And the person who was helping us, who was themselves very, very interesting, nodded and just walked away and said, follow me. He knew exactly where to go. Next on the list of things that people don't tell you about Austin, Texas living is we have quite a healthy wine country ourselves here, really. I'm not kidding, we do. We have just wineries have been popping up all over the place, especially in the Hill Country near Fredericksburg, short drive from Austin. There are tours and all kinds of events and things that go on with the wineries. And in fact, Texas keeps scooping up the awards for the wine, so it isn't just a fad and a fun thing to do. There's actually some legit, really good wines. Second to the last on my list of 10 things that people don't tell you about Austin, Texas living is microbreweries are a big thing here. In fact, we have 37 microbreweries in the city limits of Austin. There's even a website, Craft Beer Austin, just for craft beer in Austin, and you should check it out. These microbreweries have events and tastings. They have live music, they have yard games, they have board games, they have all kinds of stuff going on all the time. Definitely get a designated driver so that you can go have some fun and check those out. There's so many good ones that we recommend you take a look at the Craft Beer Austin website and find the ones that look like they might be the most interesting. There's just all kinds of them here in Austin. The last thing I'm going to share with you on my list, number 10 of things that people don't tell you about Austin, Texas living, is that we have a lot more sports than you think. Now, if you're somebody who's into sports, you might be thinking, yeah, but you don't have any pro teams. But alas, we now do. That's right, because we have the Austin Football Club. And they are in their second season. They sold out their first season in 2021, sold out their second season. It is a blast. The town has just embraced this sport. It is so much fun. The games are fast. The stadium has won awards. There are local eateries are selling food there. You've got even some food truck looking type environments. It is so much fun. So that is taking off. So Austin football taking off. Of course, there's the UT Longhorns in all the sports that they play. Of course, football, basketball, women's sports, men's sports. There's loads of things to do there. Kind of like our own professional team, sort of. Those are fun games to go to. And you might see some celebrities if you go there. Matthew McConaughey has been known to grace the sidelines more than once. So those are my 10 things that I think people don't necessarily let you know about Austin, Texas living. I'm sure there are more. Please leave in the comments what you think. I'd love to get a thumbs up and click the bell to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear about next. And that's what we've got here in Austin. A lot of different activities. And I haven't even touched on the other kind of restaurants that aren't tacos or all of the outdoor stuff. Maybe that'll be the next one. Lots to do in Austin, and some of it's not what you'd expect. Come on down and have a visit.